Nana too. Say.
Good boy. Big Love, the movie, tells the story of Adil, who is hell-bent on quitting law to do banking. His mother convinces him to continue with law instead of starting from scratch. In the first scene, we see him seated with his mom and dad as his mom asks his dad to convince him to change his mind. But his father rather encourages him that life is too short to do what you'd rather not. So his mom starts ranting. That's the same way I told you to stop this tattoo thing. People have small tattoos. Only you have a big tattoo like the map of Nigeria. Just then, his aunt walks in and Adil takes advantage of it to walk out. And his aunt is like, whoa, now the girls are too many, so you can't say hello to your aunt after Adil walked past his aunt without greeting. Then she adds, whoa, don't mind your mommy. Me, I have tattoos. See, showing Adil her tattoo behind her. Please keep your tattoos, I beg. Adil on his way to his camp starts a conversation with his brother, who is dropping him off, on how he's impregnated Lina, a lady he sees as a friend but had random sex with. Eventually, his mom is bent on making him marry Lina since she's against getting pregnant out of wedlock. Adil continues to tease his brother that he's soon to be a baby daddy. Upon arrival at the camp, Adil spots Adina, a lady he claims to have met before way back in school. But his brother asks him to focus, so he just lets it slide after he tried to catch the attention of Adina. After that, we see several attempts of Adil trying to speak to Adina, but he's always interrupted and he just misses the opportunity to talk to her. Adil is seen always finding an opportunity to speak to her. Then, boom, he gets to speak to her after their workout session the next morning. They both decide to grab breakfast. Then his girlfriend calls to say she's in town. After the call, Adina asks why he doesn't sound like an excited boyfriend. But just then, Adil mentions they are having issues. Then we see Adina roll her eyes as in, bro, I hear this all the time. You see the way she rolls her eyes? Look at that. But then, Adina gets a call and she rather moves away to pick it up. You can imagine what's going on in Adil's head. The next day after their class, Adil approaches Adina to ask her to be his partner on the project. But Adina, who is skeptical about it, asks him, bro, will you put in the work? Because I don't want the case of monkey the work, baboon the chop. Adil promises to put in the work 100%, then the two become partners from then. We see them doing their projects most of the time together, but interestingly, anytime Adina gets a call, she's very distant and goes away to answer it as though she has something to hide. Eventually, they make their presentation, but it seems Adina is not happy about the outcome. She's seen crying. Adina later finds out that Adil is actually a very good student, and she begins to like him after he answered a question brilliantly, and the whole class applauds him. You can say Auntie is sapisexual because she began to catch feelings for this man after that incident. Next, Adil and Adina, who seem to have become very close, are seen talking about Adil's complicated relationship. Apparently, Adil's girlfriend doesn't want him and also doesn't want to let him go too. He makes a joke saying he has Mr. Nice Guy written on his forehead. Then Adina tells him, bros, Mr. Nice Guy know the pay, but advises him to set boundaries and all. Adil gets a call from his brother and mentions Adina's name. Can imagine her surprise. Then Adil goes ahead to share his brother's complicated love story of how his mom is breathing down his neck to marry his friend who is pregnant for him now, Lina. Adina slips into deep thoughts and asks that some have food but cannot eat it. Then she asks Adil what he would do if he was in his brother's shoes. Adil goes like, why will I have unprotected sex with someone I don't want to have a baby with? Suddenly, Adina asks to leave. You can tell she's not happy with his response. But Adil will not hear a word. He tells Adina that he really likes her. Adina pretends not to have heard and asks him to park so that they leave. And he repeats, shouting this time, I said I really like you. Everybody looks at the two like crazy. Their next presentation was great and Adil gave the most dramatic claps that even Adina was surprised. Adil decided to plan a picnic-like dinner date later that evening. Adina shares a story of how she went to school through donations from her church. She asked Adil why he decided to go through the stress of coming for the camp because he could easily get his parents to call anyone to put him into any position, especially considering the fact that he had to quit law and start all over from scratch. Then it starts raining. Chai, these two decide to shamelessly make out in the rain, as in the rain at a camp, knowing very well that anybody could be around. I wonder how they want us to believe that scene, because I'm wondering how these two actually did that thing on the campsite at that time without anybody noticing, knowing how many people were on that camp. The next morning, we find Adil with an erection. He had the thoughts of that night all through in his head. Adina, while discussing with her colleagues that she wants to be posted to Ibadan, gets a call. Adil pays Adina a visit at home. Then he confesses that he's always had a crush on her from school. Adina was surprised. She's always had someone crushing on her all this while. Then Adina tells Adil the reality of things. Bro, I hope you know all of this is us fooling around, Sha. I like it, I enjoy it, but I don't want to ask for more. Because in just 2 weeks, all of this will be over. Then the rest is history. The next day, they both receive their posting. Adil gets posted to Lagos and Adina goes to Ibadan. Adina is super excited, but Adil obviously isn't. He gets a call from his ex-girlfriend and tells her never to call him again because he now has a girlfriend. Adina, who is obviously not pleased with the way he spoke to his girlfriend, tells him, bro, I'm not your girlfriend. All of this is just an escape from my reality. Adil is very confused at this point and shouts, what are you running away from? Adina yells back saying, I'm running away from empty promises and being left with the pieces to deal with it later. The two are obviously shouting because everyone is now staring at them. Then we find out that Adina failed the project on purpose because she wanted to go back to Ibadan. Adina walks out, leaving Adil confused and sad. Back home, Adina meets up with her friend and they talk about Adil. But all Adina could do seated on the table is reminiscing on the moments she had with Adil. Adil is clearly very sad on the phone with Adina. He suggests that he wants to get a transfer to Ibadan. Ha! You want to be transferred because of woman? At Adil's, his brother is complaining about how his dad allowed his mom to take so much control. But their dad explains that he does that just to let peace reign. Adil pays Adina a visit the next day in her house while she's dressed like a clown to play with her son. Then we realize that all the contacts uncertainties were cause of her son. Then Adil meets her son and boom, the two bond pretty well. Later that evening, Adina shares her story with Adil, explaining how her son Jaden was rejected by the father. He then breaks the news that he's gotten a transfer. Chai, rich people, I swear. Overnight, he got a transfer all the way to Ibadan. Adina is overwhelmed with everything and tells Adil how she's too scared to accept any fake promises, especially as she's a single mother. She walks out even before Adil could say any further. Adil now works with Adina. He sends a text to her the next day that he's here and not going anywhere. Omo, this indeed is a big love. Then the office romance begins. Adil becomes a part of Jaden's life. He gets to spend so much time with them at home and Jaden falls in love with Adil as well after he was transferred to Ibadan. Despite all of this, Adina keeps pushing Adil away, saying she's scared of not being accepted by Adil's mom. He obviously won't stop loving her though. The next day, Adil's mom and aunt pay Adina a visit. The drama that day, the two did not even allow Adina to speak. They kept shouting, we didn't know, referring to the fact that they didn't know about Adina's child. They push Adina aside and rush in to get a seat themselves. Jaden comes in and the two are over the moon with him. Obviously, they assumed Jaden is Adil's son. Adil walks in and goes with the flow, saying they had a child but lost contact and met again at the camp. Adina asks to speak to Adil privately, obviously not happy about what is going on. Then his mom says, whoa, you can take him, we didn't come to see both of you, we came to see our son. The two are obviously overly excited about the boy that they begin to make new plans for him. Back inside, Adina is freaking out and is very angry that Adil told them Jaden is his son. She decides to go tell them the truth herself, but man, she gets there and the way Jaden is asleep, she just found herself going with the flow. Adil's mom has a pep talk with Adina and invites Adina to their house on Sunday. Adina just couldn't refuse. Adil convinces Adina of how the lie could possibly protect them since the father of Jaden is not coming back. Adina agrees to go with the lie that Jaden is Adil's son. The big welcome party is here. Jaden is being carried by almost everybody. This is obviously a big welcome party. Adina seems very uncomfortable, but the love shown to her son is just so overwhelming. Fast forward, she's given a job in Lagos and she has to move back to Lagos as Adil also gets a transfer to Lagos. Shortly afterwards, Adil's family threw a big party for his mom's birthday. Adil surprisingly proposes to Adina, but just then, Adina's real baby daddy arrives. Apparently, he's Adil's cousin. Then he reveals that the child is originally his. The whole party becomes a boxing ring. The next day, the family meets to discuss what happened at the party. Then Adil confesses everything about how they lied, blah, 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 blah. Then they realize that the fight at the party has gone viral. Everybody is talking about it. Everyone is now calling Adina names for pinning another man's child on another. And just then, everything between the two was broken. A beautiful love story just got destroyed suddenly. Adina would not want to have anything to do with Adil, and Adil eventually gave up. But you know, my most favorite moment in all the breakup season was when Jaden asked Siri to call Adil. Damn, the conversation was so touchy. He invited Adil to his school as they were having a Father's Day something. Adil obviously was reluctant to come, but Jaden was very persuasive. Adina decides to call Adil herself the next day to convince him to come. But guess what? Bros is forming and says he won't be able to make it. The day of the Father's Day program is here, and clearly Adina realizes that Adil wouldn't make it. They had plans to make Adil repropose. Luckily, he shows up later and he reproposes, and the two realize that they can't get away from this big love. The story is very simple and very interesting to go with the flow, but a lot of things were just not adding up. Like I mentioned earlier, the scene of them making out outside was completely very hard to believe for me, because I feel like in such a camp, no matter the time you decide to do something like that, definitely at least one or two people will be out, and it will be very hard to do something like that and get away with it in such an open space. But then we would just have to go with the flow. Again, the latter part of the movie was just something I didn't see coming, because I don't know how Adina decided to pull that off. She wasn't very sure if Adil was going to make it to Jaden's program in school. So how was she able to get all of them to come to make that proposal again? Unless she had planned with Adil's family to make sure that Adil comes for the program and that happens. But to have done that when she wasn't so sure that he was going to make it, and she was even surprised seeing him, because if she had such plans, then she obviously shouldn't have acted so surprised, because she was expecting him to come at all costs. Regardless, tell me what you think about the movie. Did you enjoy it? What do you think about it? What do you think about the story? And what were your most beautiful moments in the story? These are just spoilers, and it doesn't stop you from watching the original movie, Big Love. Tell me what you think about it after seeing it. If you've already seen it, tell me what you loved about it. This was by all means a 7 out of 10 movie for me, and I truly enjoyed it. Catch you in the next It's Map, and please watch other videos on this platform. I have posted on this channel a recap of Superstar, and I'll be very grateful if you would watch it. and watch it till the end. Do drop a like for this video. Kindly watch other videos on this platform and see ya.